The world of Fallout. Imagine stepping outside your home to find nothing but ruins, cracked highways, and the faint hum of radiation in the wind. That is life in the Fallout universe. This world exists after a global nuclear war in the year 2077 reduced modern civilization to ashes within hours. It's a haunting mix of retro-futuristic optimism and total devastation. Cheerful posters and chrome gadgets frozen in time, scattered across a poisoned wasteland. For an ordinary person, survival here is almost impossible. Clean water is rare, food is often irradiated, and medicine is nearly non-existent. The land is crawling with dangers. Feral ghouls that were once human, mutated creatures like rad scorpions and deathclaws, and a constant threat of radiation sickness. Every day is a gamble between hunger, dehydration, or being torn apart by something that should not exist. And then there are people. With no functioning governments, society has splintered into factions and raider gangs. They kill, enslave, and steal without hesitation. Even so-called civilized groups can be oppressive. The Brotherhood of Steel hoards technology, deciding who lives and who dies, while other factions hide behind empty promises of order. Worst of all, even the lucky few who escaped into underground vaults weren't safe. Many vaults were twisted social experiments, turning survival shelters into psychological traps. Some had wildly unbalanced populations, others gave overseers absolute power, and a few exposed residents to radiation just to see what would happen. Imagine realizing your last hope was designed to destroy you. Life in Fallout isn't about thriving. It's about clinging to survival in a world where safety is an illusion, morality is optional, and hope fades faster than the glow of a dying sunset. The Backrooms. Imagine slipping through reality by accident, falling through the cracks of the world into a place that feels wrong from the very first second. The floor is damp, the carpet is stained, and the yellowed wallpaper stretches on forever in every direction. Overhead, fluorescent lights buzz with a dull hum that never stops, and no matter how far you walk, every hallway looks exactly the same. That is the Backrooms, an alternate dimension born from internet lore but terrifying in its own right. This universe is described as an endless maze of liminal spaces, a labyrinth that defies logic and reason. There are no windows, no exits, and no outside world. Just miles upon miles of empty rooms that seem to repeat endlessly, trapping anyone unlucky enough to slip inside. For an ordinary person, this is a waking nightmare. The Backrooms play on a deep, primal fear, the fear of being utterly alone, lost in a place that was never meant for human life. Some versions of the lore suggest this space spans hundreds of millions of square miles, which means finding an exit is almost impossible. You could walk for days, months, or even years, and still see nothing but the same yellow walls and flickering lights. The air is stale and heavy, and that constant buzzing sound is enough to drive you mad. Food and water are nearly impossible to find, so starvation and dehydration set in quickly unless you come across something called almond water, a strange, sweet-smelling liquid that is rumored to keep you alive and even help with the crushing sense of dread. But even this so-called lifeline is rare, and its presence only underscores how unnatural this place truly is. What makes the Backrooms even worse are the other things that share it with you. In expanded lore, the Backrooms are not just empty halls. They are divided into levels, each with its own rules, its own hazards, and its own residents. And some of those residents are not human. There are entities that wander these endless corridors, things that move in the shadows, creatures like the Hound, a feral dog-like humanoid that hunts anything it hears. Imagine being lost, exhausted, desperate for a sip of water, and realizing that you are not alone, and whatever else is here does not want to help you. There is no real escape, no guarantee of safety, and no hope of rescue. The best you can hope for is to keep moving, because standing still only makes it easier for something to find you. The Backrooms are not just scary because they are dangerous. They are terrifying because they feel wrong. Every detail, the hum of the lights, the smell of damp carpet, the endless sameness, chips away at your sanity until you cannot tell if you're walking in circles or if the space itself is shifting around you. This is not a place built for life, and yet, if you fall into it, it becomes the only reality you know. For most people, the Backrooms would not just be a bad place to live, they would be the last place you ever see. Bloodborne. In a city where the night never really ends and every sunset feels like a warning, life in Yharnam is about surviving one more evening. People don't sleep peacefully. They lock their doors, burn incense to hide their scent, and hope the beasts outside pick someone else. This place was once famous for its miracle cures, all thanks to blood ministration from the healing church. But that same blood turned out to be cursed. It carries something old and wrong. People who get treated often change into horrific, mindless creatures, and the only answer is the hunt. An organized purge where hunters and angry mobs roam the streets, killing anyone who even looks like they might be turning. For normal citizens, it's miserable. Nights are filled with screams, gunshots, and the glow of fire. Going outside is pretty much suicide, but hiding inside isn't much better. People are scared not just of monsters, but of each other. Paranoia is everywhere. A cough or a shaky step could get you labeled as infected. And the hunters, the church's enforcers, aren't exactly known for asking questions. Their job is to clean the streets, and they don't hesitate. Being dragged out and executed by torchlight becomes something people just expect. But there's something worse going on beneath the surface. The blood is tied to these cosmic beings called the Great Ones. Creatures so strange and powerful they barely make sense. And as some Yarnamites start digging too deep or asking too many questions, their minds start to break. Some of them begin seeing things others can't. The city starts to twist. You might catch a glimpse of something huge crawling above a cathedral, something nobody else reacts to, and wonder if it's really there or if you're just losing your grip. There's no real way out. Some clinics pretend to help, but a lot of them are doing experiments on the desperate, speeding up their transformation into monsters. Even the city's leaders eventually fall victim to the curse. In Yharnam, the line between hero and horror is paper thin, and the blood doesn't let go. If you're just a regular person, life here isn't about living well. It's about holding on, and even that won't last. The world of Resident Evil. One day you catch a strange local news report about a riot breaking out near a hospital. By nightfall, your city is overrun with the Walking Dead and nightmares that shouldn't even exist. That is life in the Resident Evil universe. A world that looks familiar on the surface but is built on the edge of catastrophe. Behind closed doors, companies like Umbrella Corporation are experimenting with viruses that rewrite the laws of biology. Their research leaks into the world through accidents, sabotage, or pure corporate arrogance, and when it does, entire cities are lost overnight. Raccoon City is the most infamous example, a place where a bioweapon known as the T-virus quietly spread through the water supply before exploding into chaos. Hospitals collapsed first, followed by law enforcement and utilities. People were told to stay inside, to remain calm, but by then it was too late. As a regular person, there's no preparing for what happens next. Your neighbors change first. You hear something crash in the apartment below, then footsteps in the hallway that don't sound human. Sirens scream nonstop. The power cuts out. You try to gather food, water, and medicine, but you're not the only one. People fight in the streets. Windows shatter. Roads are blocked. You see someone attacked by what looks like a person, but their skin is rotting and their eyes are empty. You run, but where can you go? The police are gone. The army has cordoned off the city, and if you make it to a checkpoint, you might get gunned down anyway, because Umbrella doesn't want witnesses and the government doesn't want survivors. Even if you somehow avoid the infected, there are worse things than zombies in this world. Creatures like lickers, tyrants, and biological experiments with claws, tentacles, or acid breath roam the ruins, often immune to bullets. No one tells you what they are. No one explains how to fight them. You just hide and hope they pass by. You can't sleep, you barely eat. And when morning comes, the sky is black with smoke. In the end, survival doesn't mean safety. Raccoon City was destroyed with a missile strike to prevent the truth from getting out. Over 100,000 people were erased in a flash, blamed on a chemical explosion. The real cause was never admitted, and that's the scariest part of the Resident Evil universe. No matter how bad it gets, someone always makes it worse, and they almost always get away with it. The Matrix. You step outside on a morning like any other, but then you notice something impossible. The same black cat slinks past you twice, exactly the same way. That tiny glitch is your first clue that something is very wrong with the world around you. In the Matrix universe, everyday life seems normal only because it's a carefully crafted lie. Intelligent machines conquered the real world and built a perfect illusion to keep humans docile. From birth, your mind has been trapped inside this virtual reality while your real body lies motionless in a pod of warm fluid, entangled in cables. You've spent your entire life in a machine-generated dream, unaware that outside this prison of the mind, your body is being used as a biological battery for the machines. As a regular person in this world, the truth is terrifying. If you remain inside the Matrix, you'll live and die never knowing that your entire existence was fake. But if you somehow discover the truth and wake up, reality is far more cruel. You open your eyes and find yourself naked and weak, floating in a slimy pod surrounded by countless others in the same nightmare. The sky above is permanently scorched black to blot out the sun. Cities are gone. The surface of the earth is cold and barren. The last free humans hide deep underground, surviving on meager rations and constant fear, while swarms of killer machines tunnel down to exterminate them. Meanwhile, inside the Matrix, any person around you can instantly turn into an agent, a sentient program that polices the digital world. That friendly neighbor or the cop on the corner could suddenly become a superhuman killer without warning. Agents won't hesitate to eliminate anyone who gets in their way, using ordinary people as disposable hosts. And if you're killed in the Matrix, your real body dies too. Your mind can't survive without your body. The machines see humans as nothing more than resources, even liquefying the bodies of the dead and pumping the remains through tubes to feed the living. A gruesome recycling process to keep the captive population alive. It's a horror beyond imagination. Human beings reduced to batteries and nutrient slurry. In the end, there's no winning for an ordinary person trapped in the system. Stay asleep in the comfortable lie and you're a prisoner who will never know it. Wake up to reality and you inherit a desolate world where machines rule, and every day is a fight to survive. That's the terrifying truth of the Matrix. You either live as a slave in a blissful illusion, or as a fugitive in a nightmare, and in neither case are you free. Attack on Titan. You wake up behind a stone wall 50 meters high, humanity's last sanctuary. This isn't a quaint medieval city. This is survival. Every day you wonder if today's the day a grinning monster will smash through the walls and turn your home into a feeding ground. In the Attack on Titan universe, any morning can spiral into a bloodbath. And there's almost nothing you can do. A century before the story begins, Titans, gigantic humanoid creatures, nearly wiped out humanity. The survivors hid behind 3 concentric walls, Maria, Rose, and Sheena, believing they'd be safe forever. Titans stand 3 to 15 meters tall, sometimes bigger. They don't eat for food, they eat because they're driven to. They regenerate from almost anything and can only be killed by slicing a tiny spot at the base of their neck. Unless you're a trained soldier, you're defenseless. As a citizen, life is one long wait for disaster. Few ever leave the walls, and with good reason. When Wall Maria fell, entire districts vanished in hours. Families torn apart, neighborhoods flattened, tens of thousands displaced. Refugees flooded inward, food vanished, and the government's solution was a reclamation mission that marched 250,000 of them straight into Titan territory. Fewer than 200 returned. Frontier towns like Shiganshina or Trost are little more than bait, their residents living on the edge of annihilation so the inner elite can stay comfortable. Even deep inside, you're kept ignorant. The ruling class hoards knowledge, silencing questions with violence. Religion and propaganda keep people obedient. You're told the walls are divine, the Titans a punishment, and to be grateful even when fire and blood fill the streets. You don't even know what's beyond the walls, only that leaving means death. But the worst truth is this. Spoiler warning. The walls you depend on are made of Titans. Literal colossal Titans buried in the stone. A ticking time bomb that could erase everything if they ever awaken. In the end, being a normal person in this world means living inside a fragile illusion of safety. You'll be devoured, drafted, or discarded. The monsters aren't just outside. They're beneath your feet, behind your leaders, and maybe inside your neighbors. Whether you're crushed, swallowed, or sacrificed, one thing is certain. In this world, survival is a privilege you'll probably lose. Lovecraft's Universe. It's past midnight in a sleepy New England town. You're jolted awake by a distant sound. Was that a faint chanting carried on the wind, or just your mind playing tricks? A chill runs down your spine as you peer out the window. For a moment, you think you see a hunched figure slithering away into the darkness. That creeping dread in your gut is a sign that something is very wrong. In H.P. Lovecraft's universe, everyday life looks normal on the surface. Quiet coastal towns, misty woods, and old libraries. But just beyond human perception lurk ancient, unspeakable horrors. From monsters under the sea to alien entities older than time, this world is filled with beings so vast and strange that merely learning about them can drive you insane. These cosmic entities are indifferent to humanity. To them, we're no more significant than ants. Ordinary people live their lives blissfully unaware that reality is only a thin shell hiding unimaginable terrors. As a regular person in this world, ignorance is your only safety because the truth is dangerous. If you happen to glimpse one of these eldritch beings or stumble upon forbidden knowledge, your sanity could shatter from the revelation. In Lovecraft's tales, those who learn too much often end up insane or dead. The more you know, the worse your fate. And there's no fighting back against cosmic forces. What could a mere human do against a god like Cthulhu, stirring in his sunken city, or a shapeless horror crawling through the walls of an old house? You either continue living your ordinary life ignorant of the doom around you, or you discover the awful truth and wish you hadn't. You might live in a town where your neighbors secretly worship ancient sea gods, ready to sacrifice anyone in dark rituals. Or on a calm night, you might hear something enormous shifting beneath the ocean, one of the great old ones beginning to wake, its mere stirring sending nightmare visions into people's minds. There are no heroes or armies that can save you from these threats. If the stars align and a being like Cthulhu rises from the depths, humanity can do nothing but tremble and hope it goes back to sleep. One especially horrifying detail is that at the center of existence lies the blind idiot god Azathoth, endlessly dreaming the universe into being. If it ever woke up, everything would end in an instant, and no human could do a thing to stop it. In Lovecraft's cosmos, simply knowing what's truly out there is enough to break you completely. Ultimately, there's no safe way to live as an ordinary person in Lovecraft's universe. Stay ignorant, and you survive only because the cosmic horrors haven't noticed you yet. Learn the truth, and you risk losing your mind or your life. That's the horrifying reality of Lovecraft's world. The only mercy is never knowing what lurks in the darkness, because even a glimpse of the truth can destroy you. Animal Crossing. You wake up to cheerful music and the rustle of wind through cartoon trees. The sun is always shining, your neighbors are polite talking animals, and your biggest worry is catching a rare fish. At first, life in the Animal Crossing universe feels like a storybook. There's no violence, no sickness, no danger, just a cozy island and a stream of pleasant daily tasks. But stay long enough and you notice something darker. Beneath the pastel charm is a loop you can't escape, a paradise that slowly feels like a cage. The moment you arrive, you're in debt. Tom Nook, the raccoon landlord, gives you a house, but not for free. You owe him, and the only way to repay that loan is endless labor. Fishing, catching bugs, selling fruit, and running errands. Pay off the debt, and Nook immediately offers a bigger house, and another larger loan. There's no way to refuse. You work and pay and work, trapped in a cycle of debt disguised as home improvement. Meanwhile, the world around you barely changes. Your neighbors greet you with the same lines. The same shop music plays. The same list of chores awaits. What feels comforting at first begins to feel like a soft, padded purgatory. You're also completely isolated. Beyond the ocean's edge? Nothing. Trains and planes exist, but they only take you to near-identical islands with the same fruit, the same animals, the same routines. Your neighbors can leave whenever they please, but you never truly escape. The world is designed to look infinite while quietly keeping you confined. Even relationships are transactional. Villagers like you if you run errands. New furniture, decorations, everything is tied to currency. There's no space for anger or rebellion. The world doesn't allow it. The politeness masks something deeper. Total control, even over your emotions. You're not just living here, you're performing a role every single day. And then there are the gyroids, those little wobbly statues you dig up and decorate your house with. They're based on Haniwa, ancient Japanese funerary figures used to mark graves. You're literally unearthing soul effigies after the rain and displaying them like quirky art. And Tom Nook? In earlier games, he jokes about sending family members to remind you to pay up. It's played for laughs, but it feels a bit too close to something darker. In the end, Animal Crossing doesn't need monsters or violence to trap you. It keeps you docile with smiling neighbors, endless debt, and a world that never changes. That's what makes it so unsettling. It's not about what you see. It's about what's hidden behind the cute music and daily routine. A life where you're stuck forever, smiling and obedient with no way out.